people, which is very important. You are my studio audience. This is going to be taped for posterity. Now, what was I going to talk about? Well, I was going to talk about, oh dear. Now I can't see. I've never been so nervous for. I know why. It's because we didn't do it in December, so Spizzy got out of practice. You know what I mean? Forgot everything that it was about, including what he was. Oh, I know what I was going to talk about. Okay, this will make you nice and uncomfortable.
Perfect.
Alice Munro. Oh. Now we're dealing with lots of writers here. We have writers all the time. We're going to have writers all through the winter, spring, whatever the fuck we're in right now. We're going to have writers, and so I thought we should talk about Alice. So now here's a good one for you. I don't know. I've never read. Am I Canadian? Well, only recently. That's why I've never read a story by Alice Munro.
What?
Of course, now that I know, I will. But the thing is that I haven't. So I'm not talking from that position, as they say in the movies. I'm not talking from that specific position of having read her and loved her. But I know that everyone loved, at one point, Alice Munro. The best writer, the deepest writer. How many people have read Alice Munro?
Woo!
How many people, after now we know what has happened, will never read Alice Munro again?
I want to read more.
Okay, there we go. So there's one. But that on the other side. So very good, on this side. So yeah, I haven't read, now I will. So what happened? Let's look at that. Here she was. My understanding of it was that she was a lady who everyone perceived as very sort of cute, or embroidering at home in the country, very Canadian lady, very quiet, very nice. You know, never caused nobody no trouble. And she somehow wrote these magnificent stories that encompass the entire range of the human condition. Now, one of the things we like about this, of course, is that every little old lady who sits home and embroiders would love to write magnificent stories about the human condition. So when we find someone who is just like us in every way, which means nice, and we embroider, and we do nothing bad ever, and that person is brilliant, then we go, oh, I love that writer so much. They're just like me and they're brilliant, because of course everyone knows that inside. We all know, here we all know we're very nice and sweet, but we're also just brilliant. So anyway, that's the way that happened. And then we find out that, now I'm not quite sure what it was, but basically, we'll just be frank about it. It sounds like her husband molested her. It was not her husband. It's very complicated, right? It was her, not the father of her children, but their stepfather. He molested now one, and now another one's coming forward. And of course, they all have different experiences with that, which we don't want to acknowledge. Apparently the experience of being molested is supposed to be the same for everyone. But one of them says, you know, oh my God, that was it, the end of my life. And the other one says, I don't know, I hardly noticed, or something like that, right? So they all have different experience. That's what happens. But she apparently was told, confronted, and did nothing about it. So now this is rocking and rolling, which is what it needs, the Canadian literary scene. People are going nuts and crazy, and if you go onto the internet, you see people saying, I don't know, I used to love Alice Munro, and now I'm not going to be able to. No. And apparently, there are academics, now understand that for years, within the university community, it has been heresy to go anywhere near the life of the author. That has been since 1940, when William Winsat, how come I know this? Because I'm smart. William Winsat and Leavitt, whatever his fucking name was, the new criticism, they came together and they said, there will be only the text. We must only look at the text. Everything outside the text is irrelevant, will tell you nothing about the author. And so if you went to an English class and said, well, I heard that William Wordsworth used to walk around and he liked trees, and that's why he wrote about the trees, they go, oh, that's not relevant. We don't care whether William Wordsworth liked trees. That's about the poems. The poems like trees. That's all we care, right? So suddenly now, I don't quite get it. Suddenly now everybody thinks it's all sort of very relevant that she... But you know, it is kind of relevant. So I'm going to say, like, why should we care? Why should we care? Now, I would say, I care because it's good gossip. So I'm an old gossip. I look like... No, I guess I look as much like a lady as I do a man, thank God. But I look an old lady, an old man or something, who look like an old gossip. Yeah, that's what I like. I like to hear the dirt. We all do. Don't lie to me. Don't pretend like you don't like the dirt. But yeah, we like that. So on that level, we just want to know. We hear the dirt and we want to know. But on the other side of it, it's important because we have this notion that an artist, and I feel like I may have talked about this before, and I don't know why, yes I do, I'm so obsessed with this, but that an artist should be a good person.
No.
A writer must be better person than other people. Now, it's problematic because, you know, what's a good person? To some people it's, you know, one thing, other people...
Very Victorian.
Yeah, very extremely Victorian. Like, just notice that this notion that we have to like the person. Now, I won't go too much into it because I'm really into all this shit about Shakespeare, let me tell you. It's so upsetting and boring. But from what I know about Shakespeare, I'll just say this little sidebar. He was, I've written 2 books about it, he was Edward de Vere, a nobleman who got up to no good. So it has a lot to do with the fact that the Shakespeare we created, the greatest writer in the English language, was apparently a very nice guy whose worst problem was that he might have cheated on his wife. You know what I mean? And the real writer of Shakespeare, I think, was Edward de Vere, did boy, when you start getting into it, it's pretty fucking filthy. And it's pretty fucking dark. That's what it is. So what we do is we make this stipulation, and the writer can't possibly live up to it, and then we ignore a work which is interesting because we think it should be all about how nice a person the writer is. So that's one of the reasons why it's really important. But the other thing is that I think that in order to be a good writer, you have to have some connection on some level with the dark, malevolent forces in this universe.
It's gonna be a
Thank you, my cameraman and my inspiration, Ryan Russell. So yes, so it's like, yes, we need to have this, we need to know that artists need to have this connection, or else probably they're going to be Rod McEwen, right? Unfortunately, I don't know, and none of you've heard of Rod McEwen. I don't know if my audience out there has, but he was the exemplary lousy poet of the 70s or 60s or something. But I was young, and everybody loved him because they supposed that he was a nice guy. So that's my little lecture, and of course I can't go without just saying, what are we going to do? Are we the 51st state? Let me hear. No, or do we want you?
Yeah, please.
You don't want to be the 51st state? So apparently this guy down there now, he's the president. He's decided, right? Well, I'll tell you, I had lots of insights. If you watched this busy last time, I talked all about why Trump got elected. But I would say the major thing to think about that is Americans, I know I can say this because I was born in the United States of America. I know I don't sound like it. Oh no, it's the land, it's the melting pot, it's the land of the many and the varied. So yes, I was born in America, and I can say this, they're very stupid people, okay? And they get what they deserve, and I say they're stupid because they're proud of being stupid. Every population has stupid people, but sometimes there are populations where people actually say, we don't want to be stupid, we want to educate people, we think education is good, and we think it's important that people think and be smart. In the States, they don't. Did you remember Agnew? And then I'll stop. Do you remember Agnew's thing? Agnew used to talk about effete, intellectual snobs. That's kind of me, if you want to know the truth. So anyway, he said that they were horrible. You know, and he was this big Republican friend of Nixon's. He could go, effete, intellectual snobs are ruining this country. And everybody goes clap, clap. And they're still like that, let me tell you. So they want their horse and their religion and their gun. And they want a woman to be in the kitchen, and they're dumb as a horse, and they're proud of it. So they get what they deserve. So applaud for me, because I introduced the guest. Even if you don't agree. Okay, so the first guest...
What do we do about Alice Munro?
What has he got to do with her?
What do we do with her, though? Do we stop reading her?
No. This should drive us to the books. But I mean, because first of all, there's a gossip factor, so that's fun.
Yeah.
But in terms of actually looking at the literature, we can be assured that this hokum bunkum about the fact that she was just a nice little old lady and never had an experience of anything dark assured us that she was a great writer. No, I mean, we read it, of course, it hopes that hopefully it will drive people like me. I am now going directly to Alice Munro. Do not stop, but do not pass go. So that's where I'm going. So that's what I would say. So the first guest that I have tonight that I'm going to introduce is I met him at the Dirty Poetry Readings at, I think that's where we met, at Buddy's, oh dear, at the Eagle Bar, which is a gay bar on Church Street, the Black Eagle. And I was so impressed by Bruce, but I also heard about Bruce from other people. So Bruce is going to come and read for you some poems, and I want you to clap for him, and then I'm going to talk to him. Will you please welcome Bruce Eves? Thank you very much, and make your way up here, Bruce. You can get up quickly, you're about round of the line.
This is an artist statement. Me and My Dad is a work about men. It explores the all-too-common interior conflict a boy has with his father. The piece is a two-panel work consisting of a tiny projected passport photo of me looking my ethereal best centered on a large white ground and juxtaposed with a tiny text the same size as the tiny photograph and centered on an equally large white ground. The text reads, "Me and My Dad. On July 17th, 2018, I made it to age 66. Why is a complete mystery. Now if I can only make it to the middle of next May, I'll have outlived my dad. And that's the moment when I know that I've won." After posting the piece on Facebook, it garnered a great many likes from men. However, I received a comment from a woman who asked, "Won what?" Deep down, all men intuitively know what no woman will ever understand. There has never been the little boy equivalent of Daddy's little princess. All my boyfriends up to the age of 12. In my whole life so far, I've only ever loved one man. But inside my head, I've had boyfriends. Beginning in the early 60s, they were Mighty Mouse, Wally Cleaver, Jethro Bodine, John Lennon, and the Skipper too.
Oh my God, I love
But not the
them.
Millionaire or the rest. And last but not least, for the outfits alone, Mrs. Emma Peel. But who's Mr. Peel? Is Emma a beard? Are the outfits really his? Does he have a boyfriend? Is he still looking? Oh, Mr. Peel! Mr. Peel! Pick me! Pick me! I like to see my boy with his pants down around his ankles. I like it when I see dirt on his knees. I like it when my little pup starts clawing at my fly. I like it when my little man starts slobbering over my cock. I like it when my son yanks down my pants. I like when my little lad fingers my tight little hole. I like it when I remove the blindfold and see the tears in my son's eyes. I like to flood his greedy throat while he tries not to gag. I like it when I see his cummy grin. I like to lick up the remains, and I like it when he calls me daddy. I like it when I see my manly little fella kick his pants off completely. I like to see my lad standing close as he towers over me. I like it when my darling pup throws me over his huge shoulders and takes me inside the house. I like it when my lad tosses me on the kitchen table. I like it when my pants are torn off and before he pounds his fat, engorged jackhammer up my shithole doggy style. I like it when my lad, my little 6'2" hunky boy stud, is so hot there's no time for lube. Oh God, oh Daddy, oh God, oh Daddy, oh Daddy. Because after all, if it ain't spit, it ain't love.
Oh, he knows what he likes.
A question. Does it make me a horrible person for thinking that the late leader of Hamas was a hot, sexy daddy? Through this query, I am openly declaring my own sexual preferences, while at the same time hurling a scurrilous insinuation at a man who would, in all probability, have gleefully slit my throat. This is a work about our queer gays. Being sexualized is both a compliment and an insult, and this is the tension that lies at the heart of this piece. The work consists of 2 large, dark, and heavily half-toned digital photographs. Embedded in the left, and the left one is my query. Embedded in the right is a news photograph of Ismail Haniyeh, the object of my desire. The title of the piece is Fascist Monster, yet it's left ambiguous whom exactly the fascist monster is here. The leader of Hamas or me? There's something uniquely peculiar about the gay sensibility in that it's triggered by the visual. Recently, I had a consultation with a physician different from my usual doctor, but working out of the same health clinic. Even though we were both masked, when he entered the room, my gaydar started screaming. Everything proceeded in the most banal way, and after ordering blood work, he left the room, preceded by that quick, backward glance over the shoulder, thus simultaneously confirming my suspicion and revealing himself. I'm confident in saying that my gaydar has never been wrong. It also should be pointed out that our past and present is littered with gay traitors. Just off the top of my head, they are Roy Cohn, Rudolf Hess, nicknamed Heidi, J. Edgar Hoover, half of Stephen Harper's cabinet,
Jesus.
Joseph McCarthy, Pope Benedict, Ernst Röhm, allegedly Vladimir Putin, little boys, and regardless of how many wives he claims to have, Ismail Haniyeh. This isn't really a poem, it's more of a performance document that uses a lot of euphemisms to avoid having to say anus. One, the consequence. I think it was from shock that I didn't take a photograph when I first saw the extensive blood splatter. It looked like a crime scene. The evidence presented from my first bowel movement after the event brought to mind Herman Nisch and Francis Bacon at their least joyous to the event. It was still dark out when I got up to give myself an enema before navigating public transit in advance of my 8 a.m. rendezvous. There were many consent forms to sign and a lengthy wait before the action got underway. The room itself was very small and crammed with high-tech equipment, the lead, 2 assistants, a bed, and me. It was all very calm, it was all very friendly. When things finally got underway, I hadn't failed to notice the lead snatched a quick peek at Adam's arsenal lying sleepily across my thigh as the work on my bladder was finishing up. The lead had the smallest hands I'd ever seen on an adult male, just the same as lean and linger, as they say in rhyming slang. Rummaging around up my dish was almost erotic. There was no fear of him falling in. It had been quite a while since anyone had taken up residence in my elephant castle. Lying on my left side facing the wall, with my Khyber pass shoved out for all to see, hands clinging to the bed rail, not completely out of fear, but to prevent any unnecessary movement, then the event began. The procedure amounted to an angry fuck performed by an industrial stapler. Luckily, one of my hearing aids, the one facing the scene of the crime, was out for repair, so I could barely hear all the loud snapping. In the end, so to speak, 13 tissue samples were taken, and I was complimented on my performance and thanked for my cooperation. I felt like a porn star in a slasher film. This is brand new, and I read this last night at the Black Eagle, at the Dirty Crew Poetry Night. Now that we've successfully appropriated the word queer to the point that it can be spoken aloud in polite society, I say now's the time to grab all the rest. So here goes. I am an antique HP. I am an ass bandit. I am an auntie. I am a B flat Omi, a badge cove, a baddie boy, a bent. I'm batting for the other team. And I'm a bitch, bold, butch butterfly boy. I'm a capon, a Charlie Ronce, and a cocksucker. I'm a degenerate, I'm a duchess. I'm a fag, a faggot, a flamer, a flute, a friend of Dorothy's, a fruit, a fudge packer, and a fungus.
Yeah.
I'm a gentleman of the back door. I'm a ginger beer, a girly boy, a gump. I'm an HP, a homo, and a horse's hoof. I'm in the life, and I'm an unapologetic invert. I'm a joggering Omi. I'm a lady who is left-handed, and have always been light on the loafers. I'm a manly Alice, a Minnie, a Maricone, a Marianne. I am Mauve, a Mo, a Molly, and a mother. I'm a Nance, a Nancy boy. I have Nancy Potts in the cupboard, and Nancy Rhea, and I'm a Nellie Duff. I'm an Omi Poloni, and I have always been on the team. I'm a pansy, a pervert, a pillow biter, a ponce, a poofter, a punk, and a punta. I'm queer, I am a roundhead. I'm a sissy, a sister, a sew, a sod, a sodomite, a Stoke-on-Trent, and a swish. I'm a TBH, that means to be had in Polari. I'm a three-letter man, I'm a top Omi, I'm a yearning for Uranus. And I'm also fucking proud of all this. I've been called many of these poetic little gems over the years, and I wear them all as pride, as badges of honor. It's now time that we all become bold, butch, butterfly boys who are gentlemen of the back door. And if there's anyone who doesn't like it or who takes offense, then you can just piss off.
Yes, guy.
So let's call this my dirty queer bucket list.
Yeah.
I have never starred in a quote-unquote adult movie. I have never experienced bondage and discipline. I have never sucked my own cock, although I've tried. I have never hired a quote-unquote male escort. I have never been fist-fucked. I have never been naked and flogged in public. I have never been the cum dump in a gangbang. I have never used the handcuffs stored in my desk drawer. I have never committed incest, but I've always lusted after my cousin Bruce Boyd, who's a Thomas Inland drawing come to life in every way. I have never jerked off in public outdoors during daylight hours. I have never licked another guy's boobs. I have never sexually prostituted myself for money. I have never been a prison bitch. I have never swallowed another guy's piss straight from the tap, but I've done the opposite. I've never been forced to ride a giant dildo. I've never gotten a really good spanking for fun. I have never lowered myself to commit bestiality because all my dog Thunder will do is hump my leg and lick my balls. I have never apologized for being so vanilla because I have never done any of these things yet. I'm 72 years old and I remember the event like it was yesterday. My dad hollering at me that he'll beat the faggot out of me completely or else. Well, he tried. He failed. He's dead. Good.
Okay, so we got these chairs over here.
Wait till I get you set up. Don't talk to me. Just wait.
Okay.
Oh, so yeah, I'll take
Yeah,
those.
we-
You guys find yourselves comfortable. I can put one chair here for Scott. Spizzy? Oh, I see. Okay. That was so funny, man. Oh my God, you're a scream. Find yourselves comfortable.
Is there's one for you. We'll make sure that works. So I want people to know about you because, and I don't know everything. Well, I know a lot more than I knew before, but I don't know everything about you neither. So tell me, I know that the rumor is that you're a Governor General Award-winning something. So what did you win that damn award for?
Well, not for being a porn star.
No.
Just put the mic comfortable right in your mouth. Right in your mouth. The mic right in your mouth.
As close as you
right in your
can.
mouth. Yeah, right in your, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Much better.
Okay.
Thank
I won
you.
it for visual and media arts in 2018, and this was with Governor General Julie Payette, and all the stories are true. I believe all the stories. She was a bitch.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she wasn't very nice to you?
No.
Oh, no.
No.
And was it because you're a big faggot? Or just because she's mean?
Just because she's mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's good to know, because I know you are a visual artist and you are a poet. And is there anything else you would call yourself besides faggot and all those other names?
Someone with a great deal of low self-esteem and tons of self-doubt.
Oh, well, there we go. Well, I mean, to me, is that, again, is what the kind of things that I can identify. It totally drives artists. I find a lot of artists is self-doubt. I've personally always had the Mary Tyler Moore complex. Do you know what her complex was?
No.
Well, she was America's sweetheart.
Right.
And then she would say, I don't deserve to be. Mary, how could you say that? I don't deserve to be America's sweetheart. And I always had that whenever I had any sort of success.
When the Canada Council phoned up in 2018 to say that I won the Governor General's Award, my absolutely first thought, and this is like true, my absolute first thought was they made a terrible mistake. It wasn't Bruce Eves that won, it was Bruce Evans.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know who he is.
I had no idea what it was.
Oh, you made him up.
I had no idea what it was Bruce Evans. But they made a terrible typo, and
Mm-hmm. Well, I will tell you the other way I identify with you. I never had a father who tried to beat the faggot out of me.
he only ever did it once,
Mm-hmm.
and this was in the teen years. And let's just say, in my teen years, I was quite a bit less than manly,
Mm-hmm.
and he wasn't a bad man.
Mm-hmm.
He was just an incompetent parent, just like all parents in the 1950s and 60s were.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can't blame these guys. I blame these dads. I blame the culture around them. I mean, I know that when I came out to my father, he told me that he was unable to have sex with my stepmother after that, because he figured that it was probably because
he's thinking of you?
Yeah, sort of, because he was saying because it was from him. You know, I got it from him. You know, whatever. Like, it's like very deep. Like the parent gets accused. The parent gets.
I always suspected my dad having a past, because he wasn't married until he was well into his 30s, and so I can't believe somebody could be a virgin in your mid-30s.
Well, you know, there's a wonderful scene in the middle of Cat in the Hot Tin Roof. If you really listen to that play, in the middle of it, when Brick is talking, the father's trying to talk to him about, you know, the boyfriends that Brick has and all this, in love with him, and he says father says something like, you know, when I was younger, you know, I've had things happen, you know, where I've had experience, and he's a very sexual, very a man who lives life to the full, you know, but I mean that's a kind of acceptance. He just can't understand why he's all wrapped up in it. You understand what I mean?
I mean, you know, my dad wasn't like misogynistic or anything like. He wasn't the kind of guy that would have ever, you know, used prostitutes.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, he was always in through all male work environments.
No, that is so much like my father.
Yeah.
And my mother also said he was a faggot. They're all been dead now, so I can say what I want. But she always said, I think your father is a homosexual. She said that over and over. But he also was interested in men. Like he was the boss of the men. He talked about the men all the time. And he never went to strip clubs. Now, of course,
Right.
sorry, you don't have to go to a strip club to be a straight man. So don't worry. But you know what I mean? It was interesting that he wasn't part of it. And in fact, anyway, I'm not talking about me. I want to talk a little bit about you. But I want to know what you have to say about this polarity, because you mentioned it a little bit in your thing. You know, I don't know how many people out there know, but polarity is, to some degree, is a gay language, and a lot of people don't even know it ever existed.
I never even heard of it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So tell us a little bit
Exactly.
about polarity, because I know
Exactly.
you're obsessed with it. Maybe you're going to be doing. By the way, is that show happening? Are you going to be? Do you know yet? Are you going to be?
What
The Luminate? Is it Luminato?
no.
The other one. Huh?
I put in a proposal to Nuit Blanche for this fall's session to do stage readings of the Julian Sandy skits from the early 1960s, which are half written in Polari, with just enough Polari for the audience to understand what was going on. And it was extremely popular in Britain. It ran from like 1964 to 1968. It was a radio program, and they had like 9 million listeners every week. And this was when homosexuality was still illegal in England, in Britain. So, but anyway, you know.
So what is the language?
Polari was basically, it was a way of talking about and looking for sex, because homosexuality was illegal, even like a misdirected wink would get you arrested.
What you looking at, buddy?
Exactly, but it wasn't just like what you're looking at, but you would be arrested and you would be sent to jail.
Of course, yeah.
Right? And so it was a way of talking openly about stuff, anything. So you would not be understood. It was completely incomprehensible, but it was also very easy to, if you're not sure about someone, you could just sort of drop a really common Polari word like bona, which is good. And it's like, isn't that a bona window display? And if the guy was straight, he was like, what? If he was not, it's like bing.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So can you give? So what interests me about it too?
Okay, let me
go ahead. Keep saying.
Let me give you a real short sentence that's completely in Polari.
Good.
Almost completely in Polari. It's bona divada your dolly odik, which translated into English is, it's good to see your handsome face. Bona is good. Vada is to see. Dolly is like, handsome, pretty, nice. And eek, E-E-K is face, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah. So this I can. Doesn't it come from other languages too?
Yes,
bits of other languages?
Well, bona is Italian. Eek is a shortened version of a backwards slang where the words are spelled backwards, and it's like face spelled backwards. So it's ECAF, which was then shortened to eek. That I'm not sure what that is. But
now, and why? I know that, for instance, gypsies spoke Polari. So why did the gypsies?
It was like all different sources, just the way English is, just from all different sources.
And it was used by also sailors.
It was sailor slang. It was prison slang. It was like there's a version of Polari in Australia
Mm-hmm.
that is like
Okay.
completely different from what was in London.
Mm-hmm.
It was at its height of popularity was in the 1950s and 1960s, and that was a period like post-war, and also post big spy scandal with Burgess and
Yes.
McLean and
Yes.
right, and so there was a lot because they were all gay men that were spies for the Soviet Union. Basically, we were all tarred with the same, you know.
So my question for you is that if we have a language, do we have a culture? And I know you said these questions, I gave you some of these questions.
You gave me some of those questions. Yeah.
Drove you crazy.
Yeah.
But do we have a culture,
Well,
do you think?
I mean, I'm turning around the other way.
Mhm.
Do we have a culture? You know, and are we too reverential towards this culture? And I would say we're too reverential towards a culture that is manufactured to be monetized and exported.
Right.
And, you know, I don't think that quote unquote gay culture has changed very much in the last 40 or 50 years. It's like the mid 70s is exactly the same as it is today.
So it was originally a rebellious thing that was our culture, something we developed because we could not be out there and we had our own way of talking, our own way of relating to each other. And then it became not conservative, but it became just accepted that every gay man then clings to that, and that's old. That's interesting.
This is what it means to be gay. You have to act like this. You have to look like this.
I get it.
And I think everything, rather than sort of developing organically, I think it's all looking backwards. So what you have in terms of quote unquote gay art is sort of 10th rate Tom of Finland.
Right. So, but I mean, what I would say though, I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit and say if, to me, what makes us, our culture different and what makes us have a culture is the fact that we are men having sex with men.
Right.
And men have sex with men differently than they have sex with women. And women bring a different culture. They don't only bring different bodies, they bring a different culture to men, and we don't have that. And of course, some people say, well, you're missing out on that. And they want to psychoanalyze me and say, you're missing out on that because you need the women. Now, I have lots of women. I just don't have a hell of a lot of actual vaginas in my face. But I have lots of women in my face, right? And so there's a difference between those two things. But I would say that, I'm saying, what I'm saying is that because sex is so easy, that's my latest thing, is thinking about, in the sense of like, hey, you want to have sex, you pull it out, okay? It doesn't work like that for 100 and 1,000 reasons. It can't work like that for most women and men, right? Because of pregnancy, because of rape, because you gotta find it, what the woman's got. You know, ours, you just pull it out, there it is, hi. And then it's over very quick. Women, apparently, I don't know, I'm talking about women don't know, well, I had sex with the women. I wasn't very good at giving the orgasms. Apparently, I was no good at giving the orgasms. That's why I got fired. But at any rate, that's my whole problem. But what I'm saying is that, you know, so women also orgasms. Apparently, they take a while. I don't know what I'm talking about, but apparently they take a while quite often. So there's lots of differences. So I'm saying our sex is different. So isn't that an argument for how our culture has to be really? It's probably still coming from that and always will. No.
I mean, I'm in my third or fourth year now working naked night at the Black Eagle.
Yes, you take my coat and you see my junk. Go ahead.
Yes, I've seen all of you.
Jesus.
And it's like hundreds of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of men that I have dealt with over the past 3.5 years. I've only ever had one toxic guy, and he was an American.
Right. Oh yeah, it has more to do with being American than homosexual. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
But I don't know what that has to do with what I'm saying though. But I would say,
I mean, there's never been any trouble. There's never been fights. There's never been, any kind of like throwing attitude, and just it's fun.
I think that that's something to interrupt you, but I think that's something that people don't understand about homosexuality is that we have, in my view, we have to some degree to invent our differences, which has to do with top and bottom and dominant and submissive and all of that. Whereas the straight people, unfortunately, they have it laid out for them. Unfortunately, that's problematic because they always think, oh, the woman's on the bottom and the man's on the top. But that's the way the culture, the heterosexual culture has made it. And so that's the way people assume that. Whereas with us, because sex is not interesting in my view unless there is difference, unless there is friction. There must be friction. That's why couples fight, right? If you say, oh, we love each other, we sit and cuddle all the time, that you're probably not having a real relationship.
I saw a little meme on Facebook that said, heterosexual anal sex is cultural appropriation.
Totally. Yeah,
what I find interesting is that I am firmly convinced that straight men are more into anal sex than we are. Because their pornography is totally obsessed with anal sex. And I know so many gay men, like myself, thought that, oh my God, you know so much about me, who aren't that interested in anal sex. You understand what I mean? I've been called a side. Do you know what a side is?
I'll show you.
The fags know what a side is, and mine will show us. But a side is someone who's less interested in the top and the bottom and more interested in just the side. It's like, I'll have some asparagus, so maybe that's a bad simile. And here I am, see, I'm almost working myself into Polari here. Do you understand what I mean? I'm trying to describe our sexualities, and I'm getting into broccoli and asparagus somehow. So anyway, so I think the last thing I wanted to ask you was something to do with how we can sort of, I know men and our culture, like I just get to feel that we're under attack right now, and Spizzy talk about it very much, just men and homos in general are under attack right now. And when you say, I think we're very civil. I think that's one of the things that happens in our sexual relationships with each other, is that we have a civility. That's why we have dark rooms. Right. And admittedly, because there won't be a lot of rape going on, because there isn't the same physical power difference there is between men and women between men. And so it's a different interaction. Go ahead.
The sense I get at Naked Night, and it's very busy, so I don't really have a lot of time to, check it out.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun, let me tell you.
It seems to me that about half the guys that go to Naked Night, and most of them are regulars, half of them don't even go into the back room. Yeah. They just hang out in the front bar and socialize.
Naked. It's very interesting.
Naked.
It's very interesting.
2 months ago, there was a little bit of a medical emergency during Naked Night, and so the police, the fire department, the paramedics showed up, and they looked so scared, and they were being completely ignored.
Well,
and it just occurred to me that one wrong word, the place would have exploded.
Mm-hmm. What does that mean, sir? What do you mean?
Just all these faggots or something.
Yes, if they'd said anything from them, absolutely. No, I took a straight friend of mine once to puppy. Well, some night we'll have a puppy on. We'll talk about the puppies, the gay puppies. But I took someone to see a puppy night, a friend of mine who's straight, and he was traumatized. All right, so I have to get off. Bruce, I want to say